Hello guys and gals, welcome back to Lucore Automotive Services. Today we're going to work on this gorgeous 1968 Chevelle Malibu. This is a small block 4-speed car and it's probably one of the nicest 68 Chevelles I've ever seen. This guy has spent quite a bit of time making this thing about as perfect as you can make it, and we're going to help him make it a little more perfecter. So if you want to see what we do, stick around. Come along for the ride. Small block, air conditioning, power brakes, power steering. It even has the period correct spring clamps on it. It's like a brand new 1968 Chevelle, except it's a 1968 Chevelle. This thing looks like it just came off the assembly line. Let's do some stuff to it. Let's start this project off with a quick win. Not a quick win. Well, that's not going to work. Fail. Never mind, let's start our morning out with a failure. It slid right out. It should slide right back in. Have to figure out what's wrong with that setup. I have a nice motive gear set and install kit. That should turn out nice. I've been really happy with those. So I guess we'll zip the wheels off and check our parts to make sure the rest of our parts are correct before we get too in depth. Going upside down. Just a little thing, but if it's going to be right, it needs to be right. My fingers don't work anymore. It's all right. So this steel rod that goes down to the, I don't know what you call it, the lever that actuates your star wheel adjuster. Sometimes guys get on those with screwdrivers and they stretch them out, so you have to put the bend back into them. It's a minor adjustment, but you can go too far and you can mess them up. When they're old and you don't know if they've ever been replaced or if they were made in China and they weren't made right, you never really know what the issue is. But you can hear now my shoe is actually hitting my star wheel adjuster, and it will actually work now. The lower springs were upside down, which means they wouldn't have worked anyway. Just little stuff. I like rear ends, and I cannot lie. And no chunks, that's a good sign. Little glitter. Let's check our axle shafts real quick. It's weird. We have a pair of USA standard gear axle shafts made in India, because we don't make anything in the States anymore, as I'm sure everybody is aware. Just the dumbest thing I've ever thought would have happened in my lifetime. These are a dual pattern. Press in, oh, it's press in or screw in stud options. It's the same pattern. Nice. I think he has press in studs for me. Let's make sure this fits. They are both the same length. The correct length. Ironically, the shaft has a better recess here to slide them in and put seat perks on. I don't even know how they put those together, because I had to drive the axle seals in to get the seat perks off. Whatever. First time for everything, I suppose. So those are good. We'll press in our studs. We'll pull our ring and pinion out. Get everything set up and ready, and we'll take our first measurement. Flange is thicker. The axle is thicker back to here, and it's thicker back to here. And it looks like the rest is the same. Actually, it's thicker all the way through here, because this actually necks down here and then fattens back up. Then it gets wide again here, and then wide again there. This is the same length all the way down to here. Then it's wider, and then it's wider again. And it has more of a recess here, which is what made me have to beat the shafts in on the seals to get them to come apart, which is awkward. Because somebody had to put it together. Maybe they disassembled the posi unit to put the C-clips in. I don't know. That had to be a battle. Alright. I've got my Motive Gear install kit, which has axle seals and axle bearings in it. It doesn't have the big head bolts that I like, but we'll use them. It's Motive Gear's stuff. If they send it to me and they think it's good, I should accept the fact that they know more than I do. 2.553. .407G. .407G. They are a proper matched set. I have my installed depth. So I'm going to go ahead and measure my old one just for giggles as I take it apart, see what it comes out at, and do a setup. Those are not marked, but hopefully they were put back in correctly by whomever has had this rear end apart in the past. But we'll figure that out. And it still has the factory shims, side shims in it. It's got a preload, that's good. Coming right at me.
I'm walking behind you.
Gotcha. Let's see any markings on that one. I wouldn't stand there.
I was gonna say, I ain't gonna stand there.
Ding, fries are done. Would you like some ketchup? One or two left. One of these driver rods that's longer. I should probably do that in my spare time. Doesn't normally happen. So to get my optimal reading, 2.553 inches away from center line, I need to go 10 thou shallower than what it was before. Roughly. So we'll pop this out, put a 10 thou thinner shim in it. That should put us exactly where we need to be. So a 50 thou shim puts me to 255 measured. So with my zeroed indicator, it should be 3 thou low. So yeah, I need to take 10 thou out of it. Math, math, math. 2.375 minus 0.836 is 2.539. We're looking for 2.553, so we need to go shallower by 14 thou from the shim I have in there. So we'll pull it apart, change the shim, put it back together. It should be right where we want it to be. So that escalated quickly. We had a request from the customer to solve the seepage through his axle tubes. That is not something I am capable of resolving. I don't have the knowledge or the tool set for that. But luckily for us, right around the corner, we have Mr. Terry Neer of Neer Welding, who is one of the highest skilled welders I've ever seen in my time. And so we're going to send the housing out over to him, let him work some old school hot rod magic to it with his amazing set of brain cells, and he's gonna get that done and get it back to us so that I can reassemble it. I've got everything ready to go back in the housing, but I just gutted it and dropped it on the ground. We've got to take it over there and have that resolved. I'll work on some of the other stuff on this car, get it done, and work on the white C10 while we're waiting for the rear end housing to come back. I have some oil leaks figured out on this. Multiple items the customer wants addressed on this car: oil leaks, speedometer gear reset, which I have to take a look and see if we need to put the drive gear on with the driven gear, because the black driven gear is a bigger diameter, so I think the drive gear has to be changed. I don't know, I haven't done one of these in a week, but everyone's set up differently, so we'll keep moving forward. Make sure we bounce it off this mirror. You on over yonder. Looking for a strap over it. We got frame stiffeners to stick in. We might as well do that while we're standing here. Let's get this rear end done, because that way I can get that out of the back of my head. The guy building this car is a uber perfectionist. I'm making sure I put the nuts back on the same way so that you don't see the wear on them from the lock washer. Because that's the kind of people we are. Rubber insulator on the pad, rubber insulator. We are good. Houston, you are clear and free. So I left my control arm bolts loose. We'll tighten those up when I get this thing over on the alignment rack. That way it's sitting with the body weight on the car. I ran them down almost tight. That way when I forget to do that and I take it for a test drive, I won't lose the nuts out of the back end. But sometimes we forget things. I'm not saying I've ever done that before. Maybe I am. Alright, let's tighten down our back. .827 measured distance. I gotta subtract that from 3.375. And that puts me at 2.548, so I'm 5 thou away from my target of 2.553. Alright, we went the right direction. Need to take a little more out of it. This one's really shallow in the housing. Looks like I'm going to end up with about a 10 thou shim in it. But that's fine, as long as it sets up and looks good. I'll run it. Should be just fine. I'm going to pull a pinion out and we'll put a little thinner shim in it. And we'll check it one more time. So I measure my pinion depth at 3 different places. I've got 822, I've got 823, and I've got 8 kind of in between 822 and 823. My target was 822, which puts me exactly at my 2.553 inches away from center line. So my shim that I have in here now is as good as I'm going to get. We'll run it. It should be perfect. Nice and quiet. Gives a good pattern. Took a couple setups. I have one of my micrometers was lying to me, or I just wasn't using it correctly, or it was dirty, or I was holding on to the shim too long. Those are all things that can change the reading. But needless to say, I grabbed a different measuring tool and figured out that I had a 16 or 18 thou shim in there, and I needed a 12 thou shim in there. So I solved it. It is what it is. So I'm going to rip this apart. I'm going to put my pinion in for the final time today, and then we'll set our backlash, figure all that stuff out. So I know right off the bat I'm going to have to re-shim my backlash because I moved the pinion way far in to get the target depth printed on the head of the pinion gear. Now because of that, I'm going to go ahead and take this shim out that was originally in here, and I'm going to put this shim in here, which is a lot thinner. And it's still not quite thin enough. It's still a lot of backlash. So I'm going to do a quick setup. Basically, I'm going to pull this guy out. And try and have that guy not fall out on my toes. Because gravity. We got a stack of shims. I'm going to throw a couple in there. I'm going to have this bench shim that I'm going to stick in with it. Bench shim is going to act like a spring while I figure out where I want to be with this. That's about 4 thousandths backlash. So I'll take that, because when I add shims to this side, I'm going to add extra shims to this side, which will give me my preload on the bearings, and it will spread the case a little bit, and it will actually open up my backlash a few thousandths, which my target for the directions of this motive, is this motive gear? Yeah, this is motive gear. They want 7 to 9 thou for their optimal backlash with the 2.553 pinion depth. So if I get 6 thou off the bat, after this rear wears in, it'll be right at 7 or 8 thousandths backlash, and it'll be perfect. So I'm going to put shims in this side until I can just slide one in and out with my thumbs, and then I'll measure that shim. I'll put one in 10 thousandths thicker than that, and that'll give me my side bearing preload. And basically then I can just take it apart and put it back together for the last time. And I can push those in by thumb, my big ogre thumbs. I'm gonna pull this back out, and I'm gonna find one shim. So it'll be one of these 3 shims, but it's going to be a 10 thousandths thicker than any one of these. And we're going to put one shim back in here in exchange for one of these 3. That's 10 thousandths thicker, and that should open my backlash up and provide me my side bearing preload. And that is part of the bent shim method for finding your backlash. I learned that in the GM school from, I don't remember the fellow's name, but that's been many, many years ago. And he's like, there's the way that you're supposed to do it, and then you're going to be working in a shop, so you're going to do it like this. And he bends the shim and shows me this method, and I'm like, that's slick. He's like, yeah, it works really, really well. So now I'm passing that on to y'all, because otherwise it will die with me someday, and nobody will know.